Good day, viewers. Welcome and thank you for joining us. You're watching Open Studio right here on Cape Town TV. As always, my name is Danny Kamba. I've got an interesting show for you guys today because I've got an amazing lady with me in studio. Goes by the name of Jennifer Crossley from an amazing organization called One Generation. All right, today we're going to speak about everything that's got to do with toddlers, early childhood development, as well as education. So, Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Oh, you're welcome. So, before we dive into what today is all about, for those that's watching at home, can you just give us a brief description of who you are, how you grew up, and where you come from?
Okay, I am from Kensington in Cape Town, not Joburg. I've grown up there, stayed there for long. I've grown up very comfortably. Always children around by us, as we can always being in the youth, involved in all that kind of things. But that is where I spent my childhood years, and then moved away for schooling on a hostel. More experiences there, also with youngsters, children, and so on. So that's where my love for early learning and children come from.
Wow. So you say your childhood. Just remind me, where did you grow up?
In Kensington.
In Kensington. Okay. So
yes.
what would you say since the time where you've been growing up to the way it is now? What has changed?
Oh, a lot have changed in Kensington. Lots of obviously new buildings that went up. The community also changed over the course of the years. Being many outside people moved into Kensington, and when the borders opened for the different countries to come in, obviously now we have foreign nationalities also staying there.
Yeah.
So yes, there's been a lot. The community is more diverse and more open, and we are a welcoming community, and it's a really safe place to be in. There's not a lot, that I can pinpoint. Very safe place to grow up, and that's basically it. And obviously the new neighbors that you have to. We've been staying on the same road for all the years.
Yeah.
And on road with the longest there.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a very nice place to be.
Oh wow. So now you are caring for kids. Will you say your upbringing, your surroundings, the time when you were growing up, was that the influence? Was that the driving force for you to actually start an organization where you care for children, or is it something that came about in your adult years?
It started as I was growing up. It actually started with my parents. They've been very involved in their church. My mom being a Sunday school teacher, Wayside Sunday School, in the youth. That's where it started, and then they drag you along. You had no choice but to go to Sunday school. You had no choice but to belong to the youth in the church.
Yeah.
And that is where it started for me personally. Being twice on a Sunday at a Sunday school, as they call it back then, seeing the love that my mom had for the children. She will buy lollipops for the children, chips, knickknacks and all that kind. And that would be her drawing card sometimes for those that don't want to come.
Yeah.
And also her thank you for those that on a regular basis come to the Sunday. Watching her and observing how she interacts with the children, and not just on a spiritual way, but on a really normal mother, grandmother kind of way. That inspired me, seeing how the children opened up to her and the difference she started making in their lives at that young age. And later on, as they grow up, how they come back to our house, how they come on Fridays, because that is youth night, Fridays.
Okay, yeah.
How they come to my parents' house, and she involved them, welcoming. So I think that is where my heart opened up to get involved with children and youth and that kind of age group.
Yeah, wow. I thought my mom was the only one that had those tricks, where she'll buy you sweets and biscuits and you have to go to church and then get it. It's actually very nice to hear that, it's almost like a tradition, that's one way you win kids, and then eventually they fall in love, with having to go to church on their own and going into youth. So it sounds like you grew up in a very happy place, if I can put it that way. Yeah.
Oh, definitely a happy place, my safe place. Grown up very protected. My parents had the rules and regulations, time, curfew, and curfew is not new for me. So very safe. If anything happened in your life, any challenge, what to do next, they are always there. And not just for me. Also, like I've mentioned, she was involved in the community.
Yeah.
Also for them to come and ask her, okay, how can you help me? What must I do here? And for us, we didn't feel threatened by all the children and the youngsters that come there. We welcome them because now we can sort of, we're behind, and my mom and them are concentrating on them. So yes, it's not just a safe place for me, but there are many in the Kensington community that can talk about my late mom and my late dad and the influence they had on their lives, and how my happy place and how my safe place also became their happy place, their safe place, their go-to place for when you're in trouble and when you need that person or that people to be there for you and like walk that mile with you. So yes.
Oh
yes,
man, I didn't know mom is not with us anymore.
Yes.
All right. So I mean, you spoke about challenges earlier on. So leading up to you actually having this organization going, how was that period for you? Who did you have to get involved for you to actually go ahead with your plan?
With the project, yes. I hooked up with. I started initially with the Educare, and obviously running that program, and that is my core passion. That is my passion, the Educare. Then I've hooked up with Apollo Production because we had a photo shoot, and him being into media and all that, and seeing what we're doing, and encouraging me to say, but listen, do this, take photos, let people know. But prior to that, last year, they've pitched the tent there in Kensington. And us, my mom was alive then, us driving past that tent on almost a day-to-day basis and seeing the children being there and just running around and all like that, we sort of, that drew our eyes and we're like, why? Why is there nobody that can take care of these children? It was easy to think that, but to actually start doing something took me quite a while to really get to that point where I'm going to say, listen, but I'm going to do something. I had no clue what to do. I didn't know how to go there and what to do. What is my first and what is my next? I didn't know that. But I can't recall who was it that encouraged me to get in contact with our local
your local counselor.
A local counselor.
I think the flat the tent you're talking about is the one in Kensington.
It's in Kensington.
Yeah. We're going to take a short break quickly. So when we come back, and then we're going to dive a bit deeper into that. I'm glad somebody saw that and actually took action. So for those that's watching at home, guys, hope that you stay tuned, you saw learning something new. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back after this. All right, guys, welcome back. You're still watching Open Studio right here on Cape Town TV. I'm Danny Kamba. I've got Jennifer Crossland with me in studio. Crossland, you said correct? Crossley. I've got Jennifer Cross here with me in studio from an organization called One Generation. All right, earlier on we spoke about the background, how she came about, what influenced her to actually have this love and compassion for young children, to inspire and educate them. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that conversation. For those that just tuned in, stay tuned. All right, so Jennifer, before we went on to a break, you mentioned that, upon you driving along Voortrekker Road in Kensington, you saw this tent, which did make headlines, for the people that were staying there, the condition and the reason as to why they were there. And it kind of touched you, wanting to do something for children, So just tell us about that experience.
Yes, 2020, when the first time when I saw that tent, I don't know, some people out there might know this feeling where something just like rests heavy on your heart.
Yeah.
And you get that feeling that I need to do something. And that feeling stay with you. When it rains, you think of that poor children there.
Yeah.
When you teach or whatever you do, sort of your mind just go back there and say, but there's a need out there for that specific place or that specific person, child, whatever. So that feeling stayed with me from 2020. And like I said in the beginning, I didn't know where to start. So the first step that I did was to get in contact with the local councillor, to make contact with the leaders on the tent, because there are different groups there. And I think, I'm talking under correction, there's about 600 people there, if not more. It goes in between amounts because sometimes they move. and sometimes they come back. So she was the one that made contact with the leaders there, introduced myself and what I would like to do for the children, and that was our first contact that I made with them. After that, I've stayed in contact with one of the leaders, and on WhatsApp we talked. I told him the days that I would love to come to the tent, what I want to do at the tent, and that is when the communication between me and him started.
Okay.
What I've decided, because my passion is children, I don't want to focus on the parents or the grown-ups, as there are many organizations that come and they focus on the grown-ups or the family, like giving food and giving blankets, things like that, they give that. But for me it was, what about this child? They are playing here. There's a foundation that needs to be laid in this child, even in this time that we are in. Yes, children do learn through play. Some people think, okay, but playing is just playing. Playing is not just playing for a child. Playing is very vast, very diverse. And for me, if I can get that child, and I have a short little program with them, not much, because they concentrate sometimes, this is still 20 minutes, but when they have fun, it can go to an hour. So my initial to one of the leaders was, I'm going to have an educational program with the children, maybe once or twice a week. But with it, I also noticed that sometimes if they are a little bit hungry, they will not be able to communicate or play or whatever.
Or concentrate
or kind of things like that. So that's when the idea comes. Give them a little breakfast and then start the program. And then after the program is finished, give them a sandwich, because that is normally what happens in early learning. You give them the breakfast and then the activities start. And after they get tired and they don't want to do it anymore, like, okay, let's have a break, let's have snack time, just to get them back into the flow again. So that is what I suggested to the leaders, and he welcomed it, because that was a concern for him and the other leaders. Their children, they're not attending school. What is going to happen? Like one of the mothers told me back then, Teacher, I'm so glad that you are here. I was so worried about my child's education, because we are in this tent in Kensington, but we didn't live in Kensington before this. We stayed somewhere else, and now they've placed us in this tent, and that was one of her main concerns for her child. And for me, the foundation of a child is very important. The foundation of any business, but say your life is very important. It's how you start out. So if I can make a difference, even if in one child life, of laying that foundation in a short period, or that seed in a short period in that child, and say, listen, you have this beginning knowledge of knowing one color. How can I add to the other colors that you know? You maybe know red. How can I teach you what is yellow? How can I teach you what is the other colors that we get? So starting at that point, their beginning knowledge, and how I can bring to them, and how I can bring the service to them. That was a drive. That was what laid on my heart. Is these children, even if they play, how constructive can I make their play? What can I bring to them? Like parents will say in the past, oh, teach about the children aren't just playing. Yes, they are playing, but if I put them a yellow ball with a yellow block, with a yellow, my outcome is to teach them what's the color yellow. So you see them playing with a lot of...
You're basically adding value.
Exactly. That is what we are doing.
So what does your programs include?
The problems that I have there, and the challenge for me was now to think out of the box. Because here is the tent. How do I get equipment to them? What equipment do I use? How do I get them to sit still for a few minutes so that I can teach them something? That was, somebody also told me, okay, then no, let's get a truck. Then we cart the tables. I wanted to go without tables, just having a little morning ring or something. But the need was mentioned. They had to sit by the table. They need to color in. They need to get that whole experience. So the challenge was, how do I get it there? What we use one of the local trucks there that we pay on a weekly basis, one day. We rent the truck. We load everything on the truck, our chairs, our tables, our equipment, everything is on the truck, and then we cart it down to the tent. And me and the other volunteers, my sister, Berenice, we will follow in the car after them. When we get there, we unpack, we prepare ourselves, and blah, blah, and then we start our program. So that was a challenge for us. How do we get all this equipment to the tent, and how do we cart it back? But by the end of the day, it wasn't a challenge. It was just like thinking out of the box. It's in these trucks. Go get a truck, load the stuff, and get it down there. And then when we at the tent, obviously, how do we get the children now out? That is where the leaders come in. So I will WhatsApp them the previous night, and I will say, listen, I'm there so-and-so time. And they will get the children ready. And say, and they have a little bell or something that they hit, and then they will know. Say, come, the teachers are here, you need to get yourself ready, and they will rush to us.
So it was a joint operation between you and the leaders. All right, we're going to take another short break. This is very interesting. It's amazing work that you've been doing so far. And I hope the guys that's at home, you see this face, you appreciate it, because when we come back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the conversation. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. All right, guys, welcome back. You're still watching Open Studio in Cape Town TV. I've got Jennifer Crossley with me in studio from an organization called One Generation. All right, she is one of the people making a difference, I should say, one of the people making a difference within the communities and within young minds and within young generation. All right, so Jennifer, before the break, you mentioned that the fact that you had to think outside the box, to get to where help was needed for you to offer help, to offer your services. Just for those that are tuned in, if you can just take us through that journey again. You mentioned where you had to hire a truck, where you had to load equipment that was needed for teaching, and how does everything come about? How does a joint operation work? When you let the leaders know that you'll be coming, what do they do to prepare the kids?
Yeah, so in the morning when we get there, we try to start at 9 o'clock. So they will ring the bell. It is actually a metal pole, one of the poles in the tent, and we'll have some metal piece and just hit it hard.
Yeah, like a door, like a bell.
Exactly, like a bell. And that is their bell.
Yeah.
And the children will know, okay, now it's our program. Today is when we go to Educare.
Yeah.
And while they're coming out from the little tents, and we will prepare in that time, we will prepare laying the tables, laying out the activities that we prepared for them for the day.
Yeah.
And also the breakfast is normally billy meal, maize meal, and some other kind of porridge that we can give them. We prepare that at our house or at the Educare, and we take that with. So what we do, we will prepare the little containers for the porridge and all that, and they will come rushing or walking in a straight line. The leaders are very helpful. There's a few girls that always help us on the Wednesdays, Thursdays that we go there.
Okay.
So they're 13-year-old, but they are so cute. They will assist us in letting the children form a line, letting them sit down, dishing out the porridge, spoons, cleaning afterwards. And then the leader, Papa Gideon, he will just stand there like observe, is everything still going right? So who's out of line?
The principal.
Yeah, he's the principal, and then we are just working for him now. It's all about him and the children. Yeah. We don't mind that. They're there to serve. So he will supervise the whole process, making sure that nobody's out of hand or undisciplined. Yeah. And that's how the day starts, with the breakfast and then form in a line and all that. Then after they had the breakfast, and that in itself take about 20 to 30 minutes. I can imagine. Because there are 70 plus children at a time, and sometimes they are less. Now to feed that 70 children is not easy, because we don't have 70 containers, porridge bowls for that children. We use the porridge bowls that we don't use anymore. We use for them. We're using the spoons that we don't use anymore. We use for the everything that we use is what we don't use anymore, because getting a truck cost us 200, 250. So every Wednesday or a Thursday, depends, and they've asked for more days, but when you touch from your own budget, it becomes a little bit
difficult. Yeah.
So tapping into that, we sort of worked out on a budget just for that purpose, for transport, for whatever breakfast we're going to, whatever snack, or is it a sandwich, is it a pot of soup, what are we going to give them? So we have a little budget that we work around. And sometimes if we don't get to that, I let Papa Gideon know, listen, we won't make it or something. But don't worry, we will be there as soon as we have. If we can't make it, we can't make it. But we are always in communication with him. So for now, it works for us. Obviously, depends on the weather. If the weather permits us to go, then we go. And do I make sure that we have? There were once or twice that we didn't have, but we really try. And we also reached out to the community and asked them how they can help us, whether it is with something that they must eat, whether it is sugar for or anything that they can. We welcome that. It's not always that people want to give monetary funds, because we don't touch the money, you know, work hard for that, and in this period of time, people tend to keep the money close and not giving the money out, which is understandable. And the generosity is very little nowadays, but when people open up their heart, I believe, if you open up your heart, if you show kindness to people out there, because that is what you show, that kindness will come back to you. If you become generous, that generosity will come back to you, maybe not immediately, but in time. Future, in time, you will get it back. That's what you've sown. So that is what we do. We really try to budget and then ask the community. And I have quite a few friends that invested into this project that say, yay, let's do this, let's get together. Family members that say, let's do this, let's go to the tent, let's see how we can make a difference. It's not always that opportunity to do something positive or to make a change or make a difference or become a leader comes your way. So when something like this comes your way, I will say, just open yourself up and grab it with both hands. So, for 1 minute.
Wow. So besides the family, you know, there could be somebody out there that's watching today and thinking maybe they want to assist, maybe they want to support this movement, want to support your organization. How can they do that?
They can go, we have an email, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, and we also have a website. They can go on there. We don't run under one generation. That is the English name of our actual name. Our actual name is ECHAD-TOLDOT, and that's a Hebrew word. ECHAD means one, and then TOLDOT means generations, because we're working with generations to come. We're grooming them, we're laying that solid foundation, hopefully. So when they want to reach us, they must go on ECHAD-TOLDOT, and that is where they can get us on Facebook, email, you know, our website. They can just...
So from there, and then they can support in any way that they
can
like.
Support in any way they can. My phone number, anything, they can support in any way. It doesn't have to be monetary. It can be actual food products, anything that they feel is on their heart that they want to donate. So
Wow. All right. I'm sure those that's watching at home will be able to reach out to you and support in whichever way they can. So just very quickly before we close off, what's in store for you guys for the future? Where do you see yourself going from here on out?
In the future, like the word say, ECHAD, I would like to become one with the next generation. I want them to know that nothing is new under the sun. What they are going through right now with COVID happened before, with some other kind of pandemic. So they can go do some research. So going under COVID now, we are all one. We're going through the same thing. You can make a change. So we will be there for them to make a change, as we're all one under the sun.
There we go. We are all one under the sun. That's a beautiful message. Thank you very much, Jennifer. And thank you for coming to the show today and chatting to us, being part of this amazing movement that's currently happening. You know, despite the pandemic, we can still make a difference. Guys, I urge you to go out there, make a difference, do something positive, and help a positive movement. All right. So thank you once again, Jennifer, for being part of today's show. Thank you for those that's watching at home for tuning in today. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.